I, 46 male, recently finalised my divorce with my now ex-wife Liza, 41. We were only married for 3 years and the cause of the divorce was financial issues. We had separate bank accounts for our savings and checking accounts for where our salaries went. I created an extra account for her where I would deposit money monthly. I had fun spending money as I made significantly more and I wanted her to have less stress with her finances. Even with this setup, she would consistently go over the limit and take lots of cash out of my wallet and personal safe without informing me. When we were married, she and her 2 kids, 18 male and female teen, from her previous relationship moved into my house, and I paid for them to go to a private high school. Their dad is in their life, so they never saw me as anything other than the guy who married their mom, but I understand that because they did meet me much later in their lives and not as little kids. Regardless, I tried to keep a good relationship, but neither of them ever wanted that and made me feel like an ATM. I got a really thorough prenup made before we married, so I basically kept everything I had except for some alimony I had to pay every month. After the divorce, Liza and her kids moved out and I informed her that I closed the bank account I'd made for sending her money and I was going to stop paying for the kids' private school tuition after this school year was over. That way at least they finish the year out and have a few months to figure out their next plans and transfer. It's been about 3 months since then. I got a nasty call from her saying she can't afford rent anymore, so she and the kids must move in with her mother. She berated me for taking away the credit card attached to my bank account. Apparently, the kids have also had to stop some of their extracurricular sports because she can't pay for the programs. She said I left her in poverty and she had to apply for government assistance and food stamps. Also, when we were married, I'd mentioned potentially paying for her kids' college tuition when the time came, but it was never a set thing. She still thought this offer was on the table and mapped out how her son had just been accepted to his dream school and the cost of attendance would be $80,000 per year, so she wanted to know how I would be sending the funds for this. I just told her she's crazy if she thinks I'm giving up my hard-earned money for someone else's kids I have no ties to anymore and that I covered her bills entirely for 3 years, so she should have saved her salary then instead of blowing through it on designer items. Many of her family and friends and her kids' dad are calling me to say I need to provide for the kids, at least because I'm their stepdad and that's a lifelong commitment. Also, according to them, it's not fair that I'm taking away their opportunities to be at a fancy private school and college, especially when I have the money to pay for it and keep up their lifestyle to how it was when they lived with me. So, am I the idiot for making my ex-wife and her kids live in poverty even though I have money? Let me see if I understand this correctly. Her ex-husband, as in the father of the 2 kids in question, your former stepkids, called you up and said you needed to pay for his kids to go to college? That's some big idiot nerve right there. Holy wow, you are not the idiot. Gold diggers everywhere. Honestly, you went above and beyond. Cut contact when you can. This dumpster fire is no longer your issue. What kind of sane person would expect their ex-husband to pay for her and her kids' lives? Not to mention the fact that the kids aren't yours. Tell them that their ATM is now closed and wish them the best with their life. Block their numbers and enjoy your money. You don't owe them squat other than her alimony. Tell them to pound sand. All further correspondence goes through a lawyer. Good Lord, you're exactly that, a meal ticket and ATM. She stole from you, for Christ's sake. However, be prepared to argue in court whether or not you're responsible for paying for her children's future education. Some courts hold that a person can rely on another's promise to pay and act upon it and that the promiser must pay. If one of them chooses to pursue the court route, you must lay out documentation to prove that you have never intentionally taken on her children's financial care and that of your wife. Convince the judge that you've never offered future financial help for her children. My girlfriend, 25, had our son a few months ago. He was a happy surprise. We'd been together for over 3 years before she found out she was pregnant. For reference, I'm a 29-year-old male. We found out about a month ago my girlfriend was pregnant. This was a shock. The due dates mean our children will be 10.5 months apart, which is obviously uncommon and shocking to us. My girlfriend was shocked and upset, not unhappy at the news as she was worried about being pregnant again and having 2 small kids close together, along with hormones. I've been supportive and we've started to feel the positives of the gift of having a child. We've started announcing this to family and friends. All seem horrified. The shockingly close gap, I assume, is the reason. In addition, a lot have shouted and blamed me. My mother-in-law recently told me this was my fault and I should have been more careful and considerate. I responded something along the lines of, I didn't force or do anything. I also expressed my irritation at her comment. Now my mother-in-law is annoyed with me, and my girlfriend is annoyed as I should have accepted the comments given that it's a shocking thing. Am I the idiot for being annoyed by people being bothered by our pregnancy news? You are the idiot for playing dumb. Wrap it up if you're too stupid to realize how babies are made, how much easier it is to get pregnant freshly postpartum, for putting your girlfriend in this situation, and for taking away valuable time from your newborn in their first year of life. A lot of women, myself included, have been misled to believe that you aren't able to get pregnant until you get your first period, or as long as you breastfeed. I'm 31 and didn't learn this was false until I was newly postpartum and did some research. I'm not saying this is the case here, but it could be. Shockingly, a lot of people still believe it now. It's wild. Look, dude, I'm not going to pass judgment on you guys for going through with the pregnancy, but coming from an outside perspective, not spacing pregnancy can cause significant health issues, both for the mother and the child. If I were your friend or your girlfriend's sister or mother or something, I would be scared to hear this news because of what it could mean for her health, or her life, or your baby's life. And even if you two might have been involved in the baby making, since she's the one who's physically undertaking the risk, it's a lot easier to vent some of those feelings onto you than the person who might deal with these consequences the hardest of all. I'm hosting a dinner party for my online friends this Saturday. We met because of a mutual love of a book series and then formed our group of 8 people, discussing and sharing things in a group chat. We've known each other for almost a year, and all of us have met every person of the 8 of the group, but not all 8 at the same time because everyone's work schedule just didn't work out. This Saturday would be the first time we 8 can be together. I offered to host because my place is the largest. 3 asked to bring their SO and I said okay. I asked for dietary restrictions and preferences and finished my shopping a couple of days ago. I planned to make a chicken dish, vegetable soup and cheesy bread from our book. Everyone was happy with the menu and offered to bring dessert, fruits and drinks. Just last night, one friend, Gary, asked if he could bring his new girlfriend, a fellow fan of the book. Everybody said okay. Gary said his girlfriend is vegan and requested I make something extra for her. The only vegan thing I could think of making on the fly was something simple like rice, baked potatoes or roasted vegetables. I don't live near a grocery store and buying groceries takes planning, and I already went for the week. Gary asked if I could make a vegan dish from the book so his girlfriend would feel included. I told him that would be hard to do and he and his girlfriend could bring in their own food. Gary recently told us his girlfriend won't be joining, so he will not be as well. My other friend Chloe offered to make a small vegan dish from the book and bring it over, but Gary just said he would take a rain check. So now it would just be 7 of us without Gary. Nobody in the group said anything, but I couldn't help but feel guilty. I could have told Gary I would look into it without rejecting his request outright, and later on DM others asking for help or something. Not having the entire group together was such a bummer. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Gary knew the menu. He could bring a vegan dish, leave the girlfriend at home, or not come to the dinner. He had choices and he made his. Asking the host to change the menu at the last minute is rude. You don't need to, nor should you be expected to, bend over backward to make her a meal you've never made before. She would probably have thrown a tantrum if it wasn't up to her standards too. Right? And the audacity to feel offended? I will never understand the entitlement of some people. Please make an entire extra thing because I, one of a dozen people, don't want what you're making for everyone else. Bring your own crap. Problem solved. Like, dude, your girlfriend wasn't even part of the plan. Asking to bring her along was already OP accommodating you because it's one thing to prepare a dinner for 8 and a whole different thing to include everyone's SOs, amounting to 16 in total. You didn't care to ask early on. Instead, you left things for the last minute and then you dared get offended. OP doesn't bend over backwards. Hello, Houston calling. OP isn't a restaurant or your maid. I, female 29 and my husband 31, have been married for 7 years and have a preschool-aged son. We tend to be very touchy-feely. We don't do anything inappropriate in public, just hugs, kisses, compliments and playful banter almost all the time. Last Saturday we went to his mother's birthday party and many relatives and friends were present. We behaved as we always do with each other, but we also interacted with everyone and participated in the activities. But at one point, my husband's sister, 27, pulled me aside and told me to stop showing off. She said it was very embarrassing to see my husband and me acting like lovesick teenagers and that it seemed forced. She said no one wanted to see that and we needed to stop because we were always like that. I was upset by what she said. I asked if she was jealous or something, but she denied it. She said it was just a matter of common sense. She said I should act like an adult and a mother, not like a needy girlfriend. Those words irritated me, and I distanced myself from her. I went back to my husband and told him what happened. He was surprised and annoyed with his sister. He was angry and said he would talk to her, but I asked him to let it go because I didn't want to cause a scene at the party. He agreed but said he would talk to her later. We continued having fun at the party with our son, but some relatives near my sister-in-law were looking at us strangely. We left the party earlier than planned. On the way home, I asked my husband if he thought we were wrong. He said no, that his sister had been bitter since childhood and that I didn't need to worry about her. It's possible your husband's sister was simply jealous and the in-laws are a bunch of stuck-up prudes. It's also possible she had a point and you were being insufferably inappropriate in front of everyone and behaving like teenagers, as she said. However, I think you are the idiot. Honestly, the way you behave at home and in private should absolutely be different from how you behave in public. It sounds like you cross the boundaries of many other people and to the point they would comment. You sound like you're totally oblivious to other people's feelings. Agreed, pretty sure it's too much PDA. My brother did all the innocuous things you mentioned with his first wife, but I was over it after an hour with them. It was like she was trying to become one with him, had to kiss him for every little thing, always needed his attention and rarely was found farther than arm's length away from him. Meanwhile, he now does all that stuff with his second wife, but it's all at a normal level, so no one notices. Frequency has a big hand in whether innocuous PDA becomes nauseous. I disagree. OP's not the idiot. The sister-in-law didn't go to her brother first, which she should have done. It sounds like she purposefully didn't go to her brother because she knew he'd tell her to get lost. She didn't even speak to OP in a tactful way either. She just told OP to stop showing off. It sounds suspiciously like the sister-in-law is bitter and jealous. I have 3 kids, 18, a teen and a tween. I've always hated how seriously some people take games and sports. When I started teaching my kids how to play games like Monopoly or Jenga or whatever, or even sports like baseball and rugby, I taught them that unless money is involved, all games should be fun for everyone playing. During family visits, they continually drive their relatives up the wall because they don't get upset when losing. They also don't gloat when they're winning. They just try to have fun and enjoy the time they visit. My brother finally snapped at them over Thanksgiving because they were playing Mario Kart and letting everyone take turns by losing or by not driving their best. I told him to relax and that the kids just wanted to have fun and visit with their cousins and such. He said that I was raising a generation of weak, woke snowflakes. I told him that my kids could destroy him at any game he chose if he bet them. He chose not to believe me. My daughter is my oldest. He spanked him at Mario Kart. My middle kid carried on a conversation with 2 of his little cousins while doing multiple rounds of Smash Bros. My youngest let his uncle pick his own character and let him pick for him as well. He did lose 1 round to Sub-Zero, a character in Mortal Kombat that my brother has been playing since 1992, literally 3 times as long as my youngest has been alive. 1 round out of 5 fights. My brother says that I'm an idiot for teaching my kids to hustle people. I said that it isn't exactly a hustle if I say out loud that my kids will go for the throat if there's money on the table. I made him pay up on the bets. My kids went back to goofing off. My dad laughed at the situation, but my mum said I was mean to force him to pay off a debt that he, as an adult, had entered into willingly. I don't think I'm wrong. I've seen too many kids and my brother pitch fits if they lose a game. You're not an idiot. You're just raising a squad of gaming mercenaries. You're teaching your kids to go easy without money and then unleash the beast when there's cash involved. That's some next-level parenting. Your brother just got a taste of reality served by your Mario Kart champion daughter. He may need a lesson in humility and wallet thinning. People who complain about snowflakes are usually the biggest snowflakes. The kids were the opposite of snowflakes. The kids were just having fun. They would be snowflakes if they were crying over losing a fair game. OP, I love your philosophy and fully support it. Everyone is having fun. Nothing serious unless you make it so. Money is always serious. Go you. And it's always funny because becoming upset over something not being the way you want it is the definition of being a snowflake. The takeaway from this story is that OP doesn't want his kids turning up like his brother. You did well, OP. Your brother is a loudmouth with too many unfiltered thoughts.